Hey, it's Geoff Boucher at the Los Angeles Times and at Hero Complex, the show, which you're watching right here on the Nerdist channel. And what do we know about Nerdist culture? Well, we know that there are fan tribes. Today's pop culture is defined by fan tribes. You got your Lord of the Rings fans, you got your Star Wars fans, you got your Harry Potter fans, you got your Marvel fans, and of course, you have your Starfleet fans. Today, we're going into Federation space, and we have an icon with us, Leonard Nimoy.
You know, I had a question for you. I've always wanted to ask you, actually. You, as a director, have had success, and as an actor, great success. What's best, the best day directing or the best day acting?
You know, it depends on the project. I can have a great day either one. I've had great days either one, sure. And I've had terrible days either one. If you're in a project that's not working, it's hellish. It's like gritting. It's like chalk on a blackboard. It's just tough getting through the day. Mm-hmm. And if it's going well, you're flying. Whether it's acting or directing, either one. The directing is physically harder for me. Mm. The hours are long, and there's night work. After work, you go look at film and deal with editing and deal with more casting and maybe some rewrites. The actor walks away and gets to rest.
Sure, and all the pressure too, on the director.
A lot of pressure on the director. But when it was going well, I loved it. I had some great fun on 3 Men and a Baby. A couple of the Star Trek movies, I had great times. 4, sure. But I've had a lot more experience acting, and some of it's been wonderful and some of it hasn't. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the project.
Star Trek 4 was the highest grossing, I think, Star Trek film.
At that point.
And
then along came J.J. Abrams.
But you're in that one too, so it's okay. But that must have been particularly satisfying for you to see that film connect and resonate, and that it was so positive of spirit.
Yeah, it was very satisfying because when I finished making Star Trek 3, I got a call before the movie opened from Jeff Katzenberg, who was head of production at Paramount at the time. And he said, we want you to make another one. And I said, this one that I just finished, Star Trek 3, I said, you had a pretty tight choke chain on me, controlling what I was doing and making me answer for everything and explain everything I was doing and justify everything. And he said, I'll never forget, he was wonderful. He said, the training wheels are off. We want you to make your Star Trek movie.
Wow.
And that ended up being Star Trek 4. So I felt really good about it because you're right. It was light in tone. It was a fun movie, and I enjoyed making it very, very much.
It's interesting to see the way that Star Trek has the way it connects is sometimes more about the relationship between the characters and what they represent, the sort of sense of family, than the actual plot in a lot of ways.
That's true. The chemistry between the cast was very useful and very successful. It was wonderful casting, good people, and we all understood our function as a member of a team. And some very good stories were told within that circle of people. On the other hand, there were very good stories that were told about circumstances outside, about sociological problems, about scientific problems, about racial problems. We dealt with some interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's why the show holds up. I'm getting emails now from people who are saying, my kids have just discovered Star Trek, and they're watching the original series and loving it. It's very exciting.
That's terrific. And you've discovered Twitter, I hear. I follow you.
I have to.
You don't follow me.
I have to. I'm aware of you. I mean, I follow you, but I'm aware of you, Geoff. My granddaughter, who I love dearly, one of my 6 grandchildren, came to me one day and said, you should have a Twitter account, and we should offer some of the things that people want from you, make them available on the internet. And she opened a website called www.shoplap.com. The LLAP is Live Long and Prosper. And then she said, you have to open a Twitter account and tell people about your shop. So we've done that. We have a lot of fun with it. She's a good girl.
Oh, that's great. That must be also satisfying for you. I mean, to have something that has a family connection and
Yeah,
done tastefully.
my life has become much, much more about family. I used to, the way I describe it now was I used to major in career and minor in family. And now I've turned it around. I'm much more majoring in family and minoring in career. I do an occasional pop-up thing here and there for friends, but mostly I'm dealing with my family.
You know, one of the things that you have done for many, many years, obviously, is use a camera to express yourself and to capture the world around you. Yeah. Your career as a photographer has led to a number of books, exhibits, great success. How do you think, if at all, it changed the way you act or influenced you as an actor, if it did?
I don't think so. I think the opposite. I think the photography work was influenced by my acting and directing. Particularly the last project that I did, which was called Secret Selves. Sure. I really approached it from the point of view of a director dealing with the human psychology, human mind, as a director would with actors. And it was very satisfying for that reason. It was about something that I read on the internet about Aristophanes, a Greek poet, philosopher, who posited a very fanciful idea about the explanation for human angst, human kind of anxiety. He said that we were once double people. Humans were once double people with 2 heads, 4 arms, and 4 legs attached back to back, double. And they became arrogant and powerful, and the gods sent Zeus to solve the problem. He took a big sword and split everybody in 2 and set them on their separate paths. And Aristophanes said, ever since then, humans have been trying to find the lost part of themselves, to make themselves feel whole again, to reintegrate. And until they do, they feel there's something missing in their lives, there's something making them uncomfortable. I thought that was a wonderful way to approach a performance issue or in character. So as a director and actor, I was able to get inside that idea and photograph a lot of people as their secret selves. And that was heavily influenced by my acting and directing experience.
And then what you did for that, if I remember right, was 2 days of marathon, 2 marathon sessions where people came and
photographed almost 100 people. Yeah. Every 10 or 15 minutes, the next strange person would walk in and say, "Who are you?" They were great. The people were wonderful.
I liked the photograph. I liked a lot of them, but the one there's 2 I recall. One is a sailor who had a Superman cape.
Yes, he was in the Coast Guard. And he had a Superman cape that his grandmother had made for him when he was born. He was now, I think, around 30, if I remember correctly. And he had had that cape in his locker on his ship all the years that he was in the Coast Guard.
I don't know what's more disturbing, that story or the fact that I identify with it. And then the other, the fella that... he's almost like a wood elf or something. He seemed to have...
Yes, he was kind of our poster boy for the show. It was a wonderful guy, a painter, a portrait artist. Yeah. And he painted portraits of people who had been in war. Huh? So it was all about conflict and struggle. And he painted their portraits and elucidated their stories and told their stories along with the portraits. And his secret self, his secret fantasy was to live outside of conflict, away from the world, as an avatar of the earth in the woods someplace. And he came totally covered from head to toe in mud and leaves and whatever, and wearing only a loincloth that was colored with a mud color. And he just looked like something that just risen up out of the earth. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was a very evocative image.
Yeah.
Of all the pictures you took in your career, there's one that was interesting because it closed off a certain part of the world for you, or at least a part as far as subjects go, and that was Yul Brynner.
Yeah.
You took a picture of him on a movie set.
I did, yeah. We were shooting a picture in Spain called Catalo, a Western. I was playing the heavy, and he was the hero. And I had my cameras with me on location, and one day, on an off day when I was not shooting, or was not in the scene that was being shot, I came to the set with my camera. And I thought, I'll see what this is all about, shooting candid shots on a set. And I put my camera to my eye, and I clicked off a frame. He was in the middle of the picture. It was the whole company preparing a shot. And I sensed immediately that the actors suddenly stepped into... They were aware that the camera was pointing at them. The actors were responding to my camera.
Sure.
And I thought, if I were them, I would do the same thing. You can't help it. It's kind of, it's hard to focus on the work when there's a camera over here shooting. Anyway, you get the point. And I never did it again. I thought it was intrusive. I thought I was intruding on their thought process. I never did it again. It's the only picture I ever took on a set. By the way, he did it a lot, Yul Brynner.
Oh, is that right?
He published dozens and dozens of images that he shot on sets. Right. He was okay about it. Hey, take a picture, take a picture. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And, another photograph that I find fascinating is a photograph I've seen of you and Jimi Hendrix. Oh, yeah. So you met Jimi Hendrix in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting thought. What year would that have been?
It was early, late 60s, I think, or late 60s, I think. Sure. When did he die? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
No, neither do I. And he died shortly after. I know that.
Yeah, he died.
So I asked because I'm trying to get a fix on the time. But I think I saw him in the late 60s. I had done some recordings in my illustrious singing career.
We're coming back to that, just so you know.
And
Hobbit's coming out this year, so we need a re-release. We need a remix.
Okay. Yes, right. I was out doing some promotion for an album that had just been released, and I was in Cleveland. I had worked the day, and now they said, we're having a dinner for you this evening, and there will be a lot of people from the local record business will be there, and you'll get to shake hands and do some business at a local restaurant in a private room. So I went, and during the course of the evening, somebody came to me and said, Jimi Hendrix is in the next room. He heard you're here. He would like to come in and say hello. I thought about it for a nanosecond. I said, bring him in.
Beam him up.
Yeah, beam him up, exactly. And he came in. He was charming. He was very nice. And we had our picture taken together. He and Lowell Redding and a half a dozen other people who rushed to get in the picture.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not even sure who the rest of the people were, but he and Lowell Redding I remember for sure.
Sure.
And he was a great artist, a great, great artist, and a tragic end. Tragic end. He died much too soon, much too young.
It's interesting to see how his music had this sense of cosmic. I mean, obviously there was the blues influenced aspect of his body work, but then there was this cosmic stuff, and to see how that weaved together with what was in the air in the '60s, literally, and what was in the sort of the culture. And Star Trek had some of that as well too. I mean, the fashion of it, and also the sort of sensibility of it. Did you, when you first became aware of Star Trek, when it was a possibility, a prospect
of going to work on the show, you mean?
Yeah, when it first existed to you as maybe on a piece of paper as an idea, what was your first thought about it? Did you get it right away, or did you?
No, there were certain aspects of that I got right away, and some I didn't at all. I had no idea what the cosmic impact might be, but I did know that I had good material to work with because what was given to me was a character who was half human, half Vulcan, and had an internal struggle. For an actor, that's great stuff to work with.
Yeah.
This is not a charade. This is not a two-dimensional character. This is a multi-dimensional character,
right,
where there's an opportunity to explore the internal life of this character. So you're not just walking around saying lines. You're experiencing something, and that was extremely attractive to me. I thought this could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
The rest of it I had to discover. I was not totally comfortable with the idea of pointed ears, for example. I thought if this doesn't work, I'm a joke. I'm a joke. Right. And I'm a punchline, and I don't want to be a punchline. I took my acting kind of seriously. So we went through the struggle of getting the ears right, and it took some time because we had a number of failures that didn't work before shooting, fortunately. They just kept coming up with the wrong kind. That's a long story, which I'm sure you're aware of. Anyway, and then
good, though,
finally we got them right just in time to shoot the first pilot. And then it started happening. Then I started discovering what some of the writing was going to be about, and what some of the social impact of the show was going to be about.
Sure.
People started responding intensely to the show and to this character. And I thought, oh, there's something really interesting going to develop out of this. And I always had the belief that the show would last a long time because it was about the future. That it would not be dated very quickly. That it would last a long time. That I did have a sense of.